Hello, happy Friday evening. If for those of you who are in the United States and in this side of the world, and then for the rest of you, I know it's Friday night or like really early Saturday morning, but wherever you're catching me from, happy day. Thanks for being in this space with me. Want to come on just a couple of minutes early because I wanted to be sure that I get everybody in. So I do have two screens set up tonight. I'm trying to multitask and be sure that I can see everybody and get everything covered. So while I give everybody a chance to hop on, because I am a little bit early, today we have several topics. It is Open Topic Friday, right? So that's just my little thing. My kids laugh at me because I say Friday instead of Friday, but it's Open Topic. And what that means is whatever topic comes up. That's what we talk about on the Facebook Live. This week we had a whole host of suggestions, and so I am actually going with those suggestions, and we'll see how we kind of weave it all together. But one of the topics was a suggestion: how do you deal with health issues in the workplace? How do you handle it? How do you traverse that and make it work? The other topic was how do you deal with the extremely hot temperatures and then coping to make your goals? And it's just very hot. And, I didn't know if this question was talking about just the heat period or if you're at your job and it's just, it's just a very hot environment. There's no AC, but you want to accomplish your goals and get there. So that's how I interpreted that suggestion. And then the last suggestion was planning your exit strategy. How do you plan to exit your current job so that you can get a great, reference out of that? But what do you tell the new job that you're interviewing with if you're already working? So those were the topics today. And I just want to be sure that I get the live shared. So just give me a couple of moments and as we let everybody hop on, and I want to share this definitely with my group. I have a free Facebook support group for women. It's called Rising Above Anxiety. And you can just find it, do a search, Rising Above Anxiety. There's a couple of questions that I ask you, then you click the join button and I will add you to the group. And so, I do some Facebook Lives there that I don't necessarily do anywhere else. And we have some challenges and some things going on inside the group that we don't have anywhere else. So you are certainly more than welcome to join. It is all about support for those of us who struggle with anxiety. Now, if you've heard my story before, you know that I struggled with social anxiety for a really, really long time before anybody told me that I had anxiety. I didn't even know. I just felt that there was something wrong with me. But I didn't tell anybody. I didn't discuss it with my family. I didn't discuss it with friends. Part of me was like embarrassed because I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I wasn't like everybody else. And I knew there was something, like I said, I just felt there was something wrong with me. No idea that I had social anxiety until I was almost 40. So that's kind of how I came to this space of helping other women with anxiety. And my goal is to catch people earlier so that they understand that, yes, you may have it, whether it's social anxiety or generalized anxiety or financial anxiety or relationship anxiety. There's a whole host of different anxieties that people have. In fact, 260 million people around the world have anxiety. That's a lot of people, right? I saw Alexandria just popped on. Hey, Alex. So that is why I got to this space. And so I do work mainly with women, and I'm not going to say I don't work with men because I have a couple of guys on my caseload as well. So Alex is waving there. I can't. Oh yeah, I can't like that. So that's why I have two screens on today, because I'm trying to catch everybody that pops on. And I want to, let's see, get this screen up over here. So that, oh, she says, call me later. What if I don't want to call you? Okay, I'll call. But I won't call. So, yeah. And so those of you that are in my Rising Above Anxiety group, if you want to talk to me or comment in real time, you'll need to be on my business page, and that's Twanna Carter. Professional and Personal Counseling, Professional Personal Coaching, LLC. I can see you real time there. You can ask me questions. And actually, if you want to join in, I can, just tap your screen to join in, and we can do that. But you have to be on my business page. Otherwise, if you're in the group, you can certainly ask me questions, and I'll try to multitask as I talk to see if people are asking questions in the group. But if I don't answer live online, then understand that after the live is done, I'll pop into the group and answer those questions, because what goes on in the group stays in the group, right? It's not open to public. So you have to be a member of the group to see that, which is why if you only comment on the live stream that's in the group, no one else can see that, and I may not see it until after the group is over with. Okay, so hopefully we've given people enough time to hop on board. And again, we had a whole entire host of questions this week, and I just want to take my time and go down each one. And so if you have any other questions or comments, definitely just tap them, pop them in the screen, and I'll try to look for my comments, because again, I've got a couple of screens up and I'm trying to multitask as I talk. So we're just gonna go right down the list in the order that I got these. Hopefully I wrote them in the order that I got them. I think I did, right? And so again, I'm Twanna Carter. I am an anxiety and career coach. And oftentimes when people are looking for an anxiety coach or career coach, in my case, I do both. They're looking for someone that has actually walked the walk and is able to walk, talk what you walk. And so, I struggled with anxiety for well over 20 years before I figured out how to overcome it and go on and excel in my career the way that I wanted to make choices that I wanted to choose, and not let anxiety choose for me. Because when I let anxiety choose, I made a lot of bad decisions, just a lot of horrible career decisions. And so that's, again, my goal to be in this space, is to catch people wherever you are in that continuum. Once you realize that anxiety is affecting you, and it's affecting your career, and it's affecting the rest of your life, so that you understand you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer in isolation like I did. Again, I didn't know what I had, and then I was too embarrassed to tell people what I had, right? So I don't want you to be stuck there. Understand that you can get over it. You can overcome it. You can overcome general anxiety. You can overcome anxiety and live your life on your terms, the way that you choose. So that's how I got to this space, and that's a little bit about me. So I want to go ahead and hop into the questions. So the first question that came up was how to deal with chronic health issues in work. And so that can be a very complex subject, right? And it's going to depend on where you are. And so because I see the cars in the background going by because I have my blinds open. It's interesting there. So because I am, I am also a certified rehab counselor. And so I'm a certified rehab counselor in the United States. And so my focus when I answer this question, or everything that's based on when I answer this question, is for people in the United States, because that's what I was trained on. That's where I practice as a rehab counselor. So you have some choices when you're in the workplace and you have a disability, and that's what you have is chronic health issues. It's called a disability, and we have a precedence. We have things on the books. The Americans with Disability Act, ADA, that is on the books to address that. So I always tell my clients that come in and they're wondering about this, you need to make yourself very smart on the ADA. Because there's a lot of miscommunications, a lot of miseducation out there about this. I have actually seen employers ask people, what are your disabilities, on an application, and people feel compelled to say that. Well, guess what? You do not have to disclose your disabilities. If you are not asking for an accommodation, you do not have to disclose your disabilities. Absolutely, you do not. And I've seen that question, and I always, when I worked with veterans, that was my first position as a rehab counselor. I told my veterans, don't answer that question. You don't need to disclose that. It's your choice. Just because they ask it does not mean you have to answer it. And so that's why this suggestion topic is very multifaceted, right? If you're going in and you don't want anybody to know what your disability is, you don't have to. You don't have to disclose it, right? The only time that you need to disclose anything is if you are asking for an accommodation. If you're asking that job, gives you accommodation so that you are able to do, you got to be able to do the essential functions of the job first off, but you may need accommodations to do that. If you're asking an employer for accommodations, then you do need to disclose something. They need to know why, you're asking for this. And accommodations can be very simple. Most of them are like under $500. It's not a big deal when you're asking for accommodations. And they could be for something as simple as if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, to get an ergonomic keyboard. If you have back problems, get an ergonomic chair, right? If you have low vision problems, to get that screen or screen reader so that you can actually see. I want to scroll up every so often to be sure I can see when people are leaving comments. But you can ask for those types of things. And in that case, you need to be able to say, I have this and I need accommodations for that. Your employer has to know that, because then that gives them a chance to know what type of accommodations they need to make. But again, if you're in a workplace and you just really don't want them privy to what your disabilities are, you don't have to disclose that as long as you're not asking for accommodations. Now, like I said before, you do have to be able to do the essential functions of the job. Okay. And so that's very, very important. Recently, that Walmart said they were going to do away with all their greeters, and they were going to have them absorbed in other places in the store, but they had to be able to climb ladders and other different things. And a lot of their greeters were people with some serious disabilities. And they became concerned because they couldn't go from being a greeter at the door to climbing a ladder or walking or stocking and doing some of the other things that some of the Walmarts were asking them to do. So big issue there, because, once they changed that position, from greeter to other things, typically people needed to be to do the essential functions. So it really hurt people with severe disabilities. And so again, it is really what I always recommend. And it always depends on your state, where you're from, and how much money your state has or doesn't have. But you need to get a rehab counselor for your state. Go to your state vocational rehabilitation and then open up a case there and with them and say, hey, I have severe disabilities, or I have this disability, and I need some help, asking for accommodations, figuring out what accommodations I would like. How can I do, make sure that I can do the essential functions of the job? So again, this first question is really multifaceted. And I would say that's the legal piece of it and all the things you need to do. Bringing it down to just a personal level with someone who's dealing with anxiety. Now, it could be that your anxiety is the disability you're dealing with. But when she said chronic health issues, I kind of thought that in addition to anxiety, there's probably some more things that the person that asked this question was dealing with. And so this question comes from some people in my group. One of the ladies, I think all these ladies are in my group. And so that's why I opted not to name the names. And I typically do name the names, but some of these questions are kind of loaded, and I did not want people to get in trouble with their jobs when they saw the person online going, I'm trying to leave my job. So again, typically I do put down who asked the question and I thank them, but because these questions were specific, I didn't want to make anybody's job more difficult because a coworker or supervisor, hey, Amanda, my niece is watching as well. My family is so important. Thanks, guys. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate it. So that was the reason why I didn't announce names, because I didn't want to get anybody in trouble with their current job. Okay. So I was talking about if you have just kind of bringing it down, if you have chronic health issues in the job, some things that you can do to help yourself. Number one, we understand that most of us need the job because the bills got to be paid, the kids got to be taken care of, car notes need to be paid, you got to eat, right? Hey, Amanda, you got to do all those things, right? And so it's not always to say that you're able to walk away from a job if it's not a good fit. It's a tight line, but I will say this. If you decide that the fit is okay, but you just need to kind of work it a little bit and massage it, then by all means, take a look at what you're trying to achieve in life. Come up with what your vision is. Does the current job you have fit that vision? If it does, then talk with your supervisors. First of all, just know exactly what you want to do in that job. But also understand that it's important to manage your illness. It is important to manage your energies. It is important that you have enough sleep. It is important that you get proper nutrition, and it is important that you get proper exercise based on what your doctor says you can do. All of those things roll up into you being able to manage your anxiety on the job and being sure that you're healthy and you have the mental capacity, your mental capacity is where it needs to be so that you can do that job. Okay, because again, we work, some of us work because we want to, most of us do. Some of us just work because we have to either work or if I don't work, I don't eat, and I kind of like eating, so I gotta work, right? But here's the other thing that I often coach people when they come to, to see me in my private practice is this. If that job, and I know the question talked about chronic illnesses. If that job is making you sicker, if it is affecting your mental capacity, it has got your anxiety off the charts. It's got your blood pressure off the charts. It's got you sick. You have headaches, and it's just making your health decline. Big deep breath, but you need to be in the process of looking for another job. Because if the job isn't a good fit for you and you can't get the right accommodations and you're not working with the right people and it's just a toxic environment, that job can kill you. Whether it kills you today or tomorrow or a year or two from now, over time, that job can degrade your health so that it kills you. At the end of the day, if you don't have quality of health, you don't have quality of life. You just have none. You can't. If you stroke out, if you have a massive stroke or a heart attack, and you're laid up in a nursing home somewhere, your quality of life is fairly limited. You're not going to be working anyway, right? That's just the way it is. And so I always caveat that with this. I'm not saying to walk away from your job tomorrow. What I am saying is you have to write down all the positives in that job, write down the negatives, and then make a decision. Do I stay here and let this affect my health? Or do I start looking for something else? And oftentimes when people have disabilities and people have anxieties, they're so happy to have the job, they're scared to death to go look for anything else because they feel like I'm not worth finding a job. No one else will hire me. And sometimes employers figure out that you feel that way, and that's why they dog you out on the job, because they're like, you're not going anywhere else. You gotta have a job. Where are you gonna work? Nobody else wants you. You better be happy you're working here. I submit to you that if your supervisor or supervisors or your bosses are that way, probably start looking for another job. You don't have to do it on your own. That's the good thing about this. When I say find another job, you don't have to do that on your own. They have plenty of career coaches out there. I'm an anxiety and career coach. That is what we do. We take people from point A, where they are, and we coach them to get them to point B or point C or point E or point Z or point Y, wherever it is you want to go. It is all about a plan. I knew that to get my master's degree, I was getting my master's degree in rehabilitation counseling, as a matter of fact. And I had to do an internship, and I was not able to do the internship at my current job. So I knew 2 years out, year and a half, 2 years out, that I was going to have to quit my job. So I had a plan. I didn't wait till it was time to quit my job. I put that plan in place 18 months out. And when I walked away from a full-time job with benefits to internship to make the minimum wage, there were people going, is she crazy? I mean, did she really walk away from a full-time job for an internship? I didn't have a choice. I had to get the degree finished, or owe somebody some money, and I couldn't work the full-time job at the same time. But I started 2 years, almost 18 months in advance. So what am I saying? You need to leave a job. Doesn't mean you have to leave it tomorrow, but you can start your plan now. Your plan to leave that job, you really can't start that now. If it's affecting your disabilities and your disabilities are worse and it's making you sick, you need to just do a plan now and start leaving that job, right? And so people get a little nervous about that, but really if the job kills you, what's the point? Or if the job causes you your health and you have zero quality of life, what's the point? If you die early, what's the point of hanging on to the job? And that's kind of what you have to ask yourself. What's the point of hanging on to that job if it's eventually going to kill you? All the way down, just facts. Just the facts, Jack. Right? Those are just the facts. But you don't have to leave the job now. But you can start a plan tonight as we sit here right now. You can start a plan to leave that job. Okay? And so that, again, that question came from one of the members of my group, Rising Above Anxiety. And I appreciate her asking that question. And if you are on, drop me a note and to be sure if I didn't answer something that you needed answered, or it was some other questions that you have surrounding that, if the person who gave me this question or anyone else, if you need some more, discussion around that, let me know, because otherwise I'm going to go on to the next question, because I got 3 questions or suggestions tonight. All right. And I want to get everything on this Facebook Live. So the next suggestion was extremely hot temperatures and coping with it for your goal. So I kind of answered that before, because here's the thing. If you're in a job and it is very hot, it comes down to your health and preparing to work that job. And I know that when I go to Zips Cleaners or I go to any cleaners, whew, you walk in that door and it's 96 degrees outside and it feels about 106 in there. And I look at the people there and think, bless their hearts, they're working here all day long in this heat. So what can you do? How do you help yourself? Well, first of all, make sure you're hydrated. That's number one. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Not soda, not tea, not milk. Juices, yeah, it's okay. You got to be careful of how much sugar you're getting with juices. But, and then your water, your kidneys has to filter all that stuff out before, it really helps you. But juice and water are your best bet. Now, I hear a lot of people say, I don't like water. I don't like the taste of it. I'm okay with, the low sugar or sugar-free sweeteners, but you got to be careful how much of that you get to flavor your water. It is even better if you do just water infusions. One that I like is apple and cinnamon. You get a stick of cinnamon and you cut up some apples, you drop it in the water and you let it sit overnight. It is the best thing, and it actually tastes sweet. You don't necessarily have to have sugar in that. And if you do feel you need a little bit of sugar, add a little bit of honey to that and mix it up, and there you go. It is easy to hydrate with flavored water. You can drop lemon in there. Pineapple is really good. Pineapple infused water is really, really good, and it's one that I like. Now, you can get crazy and mix your flavors up. You can do basil and watermelon, basil and strawberries. You can do pineapple and mint. You can mix different things up in your water to infuse it, and it kind of makes you drink it because it just tastes good. Lemon and lime is good. Lemon and cucumbers is really good. So you can just get crazy and mix any of those flavors up. I happen to like ginger and orange really good together, but drink enough water. That is one of the most important things to do, because if it's your environment, work environment is very hot, that means you're perspiring all the time. And if your environment is very hot and it's not a lot of humidity, that means you're sweating and you don't even know, because it's just evaporating to the air around you. So you may be losing way more water than you think. So definitely dehydrating is important, and staying hydrated all day long. Not like I'm going to drink 4 glasses of water now and then 6 hours later I'm going to drink another 3. You need to stay hydrated all throughout the day, right? Help your kidneys out. Be nice to your kidneys and give them enough fluid so that you're flushing and getting all the waste out and you're staying hydrated. The other thing that's very important when you work in a hot environment is being sure that you have good nutrition, right? Because if you get a Snickers bar and then you have some potato chips and then you have some peanuts and then you had another fatty sandwich, yeah, that doesn't count. That's not good nutrition. You need to have a good protein source. Make sure you're getting your vitamins, your vitamins and minerals. Make sure you have some greens. Make sure you have some green leafy vegetables, and get vegetables all different colors and fruit. Do the whole array of, when you look at your plate, have a little bit of everything on that plate. Now, I'm a chocolate lover. And so, that's a challenge of mine. I gotta have my chocolate. I say I gotta have my chocolate. I do eat more dark chocolate than anything else instead of cutting out the chocolate, period. I do try to eat more dark chocolate, so at least that's a little healthier, certainly than the milk chocolate or the Snickers bars. So if you gotta have, that sugar fix, be sure that you have enough protein in your diet. And it's okay to have, some candy every now and then, but if you're eating 3 or 4 candy bars a day, probably not a good fit for you and not very healthy. But dehydration and having the proper nutrients while you're working in a hot environment is very important. And then the third thing that you need, rest. Get enough rest. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, right? And I tell you, sleep is a challenge for me. I'm one of those persons that I'm a night owl. And man, I'm telling you, I click on about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, and I'm all senses on go. I'm in my flow. I can get so much done, but I have to tell myself, you're getting up. Yeah, pretty early the next morning. If you gotta get up, you gotta watch that sleep. So sleep is a challenge for me, and I'll be honest with you that I do have a CPAP that I use, and so I do have to use that. So I have to watch how much sleep that I'm getting. But it's a huge challenge for me because I'm a night owl and I just love to work at night, work through the night when I'm in my flow. But sleep is very important. When you're working in a hot environment, hydration with water, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you have a great diet, and make sure you're getting enough rest and enough sleep. All those things are important. And then, make sure you're taking your breaks. And I know your breaks, I know for those of you in the United States, depending on, for every 4 hours you work, you get a 15-minute break. And I know depending on where you are, I've worked at some places where you get a 10-minute break because you may do like a 10-hour shift or something. But if you can get your breaks in and walk around doing your breaks, make sure you're not sitting all day long. That is very important too. So that was a second question that I had, and I'm just want to go down here and be sure that I haven't missed anybody popping on. I think I got everybody there. So that was the second suggestion, to talk about how do you, get to your goals when the job is just hot. It's just hot, but you do, again, make sure you're hydrated all the time. Make sure you got proper nutrition. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and rest. And then that fourth one, exercise. Get your walks in, get your steps in, to be sure that you got everything working around the clock for you, right? And so the last question this is a good one. It was a goodie, right? It is a goodie. Planning your exit strategy out of your current job. And as I understand it, she wanted to know, what do you say when employers question you why you would leave your company? Here's the thing. I've transitioned from so many jobs now. I'm really good at it because I've done it so much. There's nothing wrong with transitioning to another job as long as you're moving up. And so that's a short answer. Someone asks you, why are you leaving this job? I'm looking for a challenge. I'm looking for a promotion. I'm looking for more pay, and blah, 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 blah. Just be, be honest about why you're there. I'm looking for a challenge, a little bit more challenging. I want, if you're into public service, whatever it is you're doing now. If you're not really looking for a challenging job, and you're probably not going to go in, on all 4 or 5 cylinders, 10 cylinders rolling, and you're going to get there and do a half-butt job, you probably don't want to say in the interview, I'm looking for something challenging. Be honest, be authentic. If you are not looking for a challenge and you're not going to roll in that door like, yes, I'm ready to go, don't say, yeah, I'm looking for a challenge, because they're going to be expecting you to take on challenging things and take on new things. So if that's your thing, fine. There's nothing wrong with saying that, this job offers me opportunities to get paid at a higher rate so that I can be, gain more skills in my career field, or I'm looking to change my career field, and this is a great way to do it. I have studied about this and I want to put it into use. And I have actually said all those things in an interview. every last one of those things in the interview. And typically if I go to another job, I'm looking for challenges. I'm looking to be challenged. That is my thing. I hate to be bored at my job all day long. That's why I love doing this, because I love what I do. And it's important for me to be engaged. So if it's important for you to be engaged, I want to be engaged. I want to learn this. And make sure that you've done your homework, so that you know the skill sets and what you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis, because then you can put some of that stuff in there. I'm looking forward to doing this because I want to learn how to do this better. I want to dig deeper. I want to get here. I want to get promoted. And this is where I'm coming to get my knowledge, to get my feet firmly planted on the ground, and to go. Okay. Those are the reasons. So, as far as why you leaving this company, it's a great company. Sure, it's been a great company for me. And now I'm pivoting because I would like to shift to, and then tell them what you want to shift to. The one thing that you really, really don't want to do on an interview is don't badmouth your last job. Ever. Don't badmouth your last job. Because employers like, yeah, if you're talking about them, I'm sure you'll talk about me the same way. It doesn't go well. I remember working with a client, and she actually went in and just trashed her job. And I know because I was working with a veteran, and I called that manager up and said, hey, I'm sending this veteran down. She's going to interview with you. And the manager called me up and said, yeah, that's a no-go. She sat here and trashed her last job. In fact, she sat here and trashed the last 2 or 3 jobs. I can't work with somebody like that. It's important. Don't trash your last job. Keep it on what you want to learn, what you want to earn, and where you're looking to go. Real simple. Real simple. Okay? Because it is your right to find another job. If your job is not paying you what you need to be paid, what you feel you're worth, leave it. Don't stay there and become disappointed, become frustrated, become angry, and then you start to devalue yourself, especially those of us suffering with anxiety. We tend to, it just beats us up. We already beat ourselves up because of the feelings and the things that we perceive and how we think we're just not there. We have low anxiety. It can cause you to have low self-esteem. It can cause you to devalue yourself and have low self-worth. So if you stay in a job that doesn't respect you, it just makes everything worse. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with saying, I want better. I see a brighter future for me. And I've actually gone in and said, the job where I am now, there's nowhere else for me to go. I've topped out. There's nowhere else for me to go. And so I'm looking to get to this next level because I want to employ this skill sets. I want to do this. I want to accomplish this. I want to go here. I've said any and all of those things in different interviews, and that's how you take it. But just don't fall for the bait and criticize your last job. Please don't do it. It just doesn't go well. It really doesn't go well because they talk. Right? They do talk. And as far as getting, because often I was like, well, can I call your last supervisor? And sometimes it's a touchy question because I had a friend who interviewed for a job. She didn't say anything. They called her boss before they ever interviewed her. So she wasn't even necessarily going to get the job, but they called all the references first before they ever interviewed anybody. And it was awkward because now her boss knew she was looking for another job. At the end of the day, it's our right to look for another job. If I can't get what I'm looking for here, it's nothing wrong with being promoted. It just makes it a little awkward. So what I typically tell people to do on their resumes, and this is what I put on mine, you may contact my boss upon offer of the job. So don't call my boss messing up my waters and you don't give me the job. Okay? Come on now. Don't do that, right? But yes, I do. I put that on my resumes and I encourage people to do it. Yes, you may call my current boss upon offer of the job. Yes, if you're going to offer me the job, you're like, y'all systems ago, then call my boss. Sure, knock yourself out. I got a new job. I'm cool with that. And sometimes most of the times they adhere to it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just a crapshoot. It is what it is, But, it's a good time for your supervisor. If they ask you why you're going, be honest and be authentic. I was looking for something challenging that paid me more money. point, but don't feel like you got to go into in-depth and I can't pay this and I don't like this. And no, you just need to say, I'm looking for something more challenging that pays me money and pushes my career ahead. I have seen people that their boss found out they were leaving and they said, look, if you stay here, we'll give you the promotion. It can happen, right? But if they're not that into you, then hey, keep it moving, right? Plenty of other jobs out there. Just keep it moving. But don't feel guilty about leaving that job. At the end of the day, you are the only person you need to make happy. And if you're going every day, because we spend, a third of our life at the job, if you're going into a job every day that you hate, you don't want to be there, you don't like working with people, or it's just a toxic work environment, start planning to leave. You don't have to leave tomorrow or the next day, but start your plan now to leave so that you can plan every little piece along the way. Again, when I left my job, because I had to leave a full-time job for an internship that I can only work 25 hours a week at minimum wage. It was tough because I was not making minimum wage. I was making a pretty good wage. But I started 18 months out planning so that by the time I left that job, all my credit cards were paid off, all my bills were paid off, everything was paid off. I only had a couple of bills and my kids' tuition for private school. That's about all I had. You can do that if you plan it, right? And so here's the other piece of it, because I get this from a lot of people. It's like, well, I want to leave this job, but I don't have things in place to get there, or I'm afraid I can't get a job making this much money. Sometimes it is advisable to get a second job to pay down debts and things and take care of things that you want to. That way, when you leave a job or you end up having to leave a job because it's about to kill you, you can tide yourself over. They call it side hustle, side gigs, that type of thing. It is advisable to do that. And that way you set yourself up for success. That way you don't have to worry about that financial anxiety. What if I don't get this? Or what if my boss finds out that I'm applying for a job and then they find a way to fire me? Well, if you get your side hustle and you pay down your debt and you take care of the little things that, I need to fix the roof, or I need to fix this, or repair the car, whatever it is you need to do to get set up, get a second job, go ahead and pay those things down, and then be planning all along. That way, you can feel okay. Well, if they do find out that I'm going somewhere and they let me go, it's okay because I actually saved up some money from my second job and everything's paid down. And then I'm, it's like I'm rolling, I'm cooking with grease. I can do what I want to. So, hopefully this resonated with you. I told you today we had 3 different topics. We would talk about how to deal with chronic health and your working. I told you that I will talk to you about, handling the heat and having to go to work and stay goal focused. And I also talked about, how to do an exit strategy from your current job. And, if the new job asks you why you're leaving, the previous job. So hopefully this resonated with you and I've answered all those questions. And I'm going to do a quick look-see here to be sure that I got everybody answered who needs to be answered. Hold on just one second. Let me check my other screen over here. I want to be sure, because sometimes I hop off and I'll see questions that I didn't see while I was on the Facebook Live. And I want to be sure that I answer all the questions. So let me look down here as well. I think that I got everybody. Hey, Denise. Denise just hopped on about a minute ago. How are you doing, Denise? Appreciate you hopping on. So yes, let me just do a refresh here to see if I missed anybody else. So not sure how long you've been watching, Denise, but today's Open Topic Friday, we had several different topics. One of the first topic that we got from someone from Rising Above Anxiety was dealing with chronic health issues in working. And we also talked about dealing with the heat. Hey. We talked about dealing with the heat and trying to stay goal focused on your job. And we also talked about exit strategies. How do you get an exit strategy from your job? And this one comes down to planning. You don't have to leave your job tomorrow, next day, or next week, but you can start the plan right now. After this Facebook Live, you literally can sit down and start a plan right now. Plan. Look at the job. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What is your vision? You can write all that down now. And once you write down your vision and where you want to be, does the current job that you have get you there? If the answer is yes, then, work it out, talk with your supervisor. What do you need to say? Take on some additional responsibilities, ask for a detail to go to another place. Some jobs allow you to do that. Those type things. Do what you need to do to, get promoted in that job or get a raise in that job. But if you answer no, in no certain way does this job even get me close to being where I want to be in my vision, then it's not the job for you, and you can start planning to leave. Not next week. You don't have to leave next week unless you get a great job offer in between there. You can do that. But you can certainly plan now. Oftentimes what I find when I have clients that come in, they are afraid that they can't get another job making what they do now. Some people have stayed at the job too long and they feel they have no up-to-date experiences. There are enough free training and classes online that you can take and update your resume and go on. I've taken classes from edX.org and what is the other one? Coursera.org. I've taken classes on there from like the University of Michigan, some universities in California, and they're great. They're free. I think I paid $39 to be sure I got a certificate that I can tell people I did. I took the test myself. I did the homework. Bam, resume updated right there. There are a lot of things that you can do online for free, depending on what you want to do that can update that resume so that you don't have to continue feeling stuck. So Denise says, I want to stop working for good. Tired of the stress and the constant demands. I feel like I'm in bondage. I get so stressed until I have to take off early on most days. So Denise, have you thought about entrepreneurship? This is what a lot of people do now. Entrepreneurship, especially when the economy tanked in 2008. A lot of people did not go back to working for somebody else. They started businesses, when they did the furlough for that 30 some odd days and people weren't getting paid. There were a lot of people who started businesses doing that. And so that's the big thing that you need to look at. What are your talents? What are your skills? Because consulting is an easy business to get into. It is very easy to get into depending on what your skill sets are. What type of services, what things do you do well? You're looking around you, or, if people come to you and ask you for help with XYZ all the time, how can you take that and plug it into a business plan to get started? I would say look at entrepreneurship. I know that my first job, work coaching people into jobs, I worked with veterans, and a lot of veterans could not work full time. They, with their illnesses, they couldn't do it. Entrepreneurship is one of the best things that you can do because you fit your job around your schedule. I own 2 businesses. I own a coaching practice and I own a counseling practice. And I love what I do, but next month I'm taking 2 weeks off and I'm going on a cruise. I can do that. You can do that. When it's your job, you can do that. You can go where you want to go, when you want to go, and build your schedule around you. It is very important. My goal in life is to be able to just work through the night like I want to and just sleep till 5, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm really not a late sleeper. But, that's what you do. When you're an entrepreneur, you do what you want to do. Go out on YouTube and Google, I want to be an entrepreneur, or what's a good job for entrepreneurs? You can go Google it. You can go to YouTube and look it up, and you'd be surprised at the things out there that you can actually do as an entrepreneur. And it doesn't cost you a lot of money to get started, right? In fact, Cynthia, before, what I'm saying is I get a lot of people that come in and they've been stuck in a job and they're afraid to leave because of the money, or, I got to, put a new roof on the house. I got to get new tires on the car, or my child is in college and I got to help pay for books. And oftentimes they're afraid to even look for another job because they don't want to get back to a supervisor. Oftentimes get a side hustle, a side gig. Find something that you can do on the side that brings in several $100s a month so you can repair what it is or do whatever you want to do, and then put some away. You know, for instance, if you get a job and you're making an extra $750 a month, pay down stuff with part of that, put some of that to the side so that you start to build a cushion. But yes, I'm sitting here thinking, because I know I've had several clients recently that I've given a list of different jobs, and I've given it to some friends. There are things that you can do as a side hustle that, you know, make that extra money. You can do it sitting in your house. You can do it, yes, you know. One of the things that people talk about is virtual assistant. You know, for instance, I'm about at the point I'm going to be needing a personal, you know, virtual assistant fairly soon. It can be anything. You know, for me, it might be scheduling my appointments. For me, it could be updating this or doing that. But people need virtual assistants for virtually any and everything. Some people have virtual assistants to go pick up their laundry. It can go from A to Z. So you have to figure out, you know yourself. What are you good at? What are you good at? And oftentimes this is where people run into problems. They don't know where they're good at. They can't do a true self-assessment to figure out what their skills, talents, and abilities are. So if that is you, I do offer a free strategy session with the ladies in my Rising Above Anxiety group. So if that is you and you're looking for a free strategy, or even if you're not in the group, you're looking for a free strategy session to figure out where you may want to go. So Deja asks me a question. I hope I'm saying it. It's either Deja or Deja, and hopefully you'll correct me. How do you find jobs like that? Is that the name? Virtual assistant is the name of it? Yes. Google virtual assistant. Correction currently. Denise said I work from home in tech support for a technology company. Denise, you can do a lot of things with that. You need to spend some time, do a little research on the side, because you can become, with your skill sets, you can be a virtual assistant easy. You can do that. I won't say easy, but you have the skill sets already. Virtual assistants do what you do for people, and you just do it, and you're making money for yourself versus for a job. And so Deja, okay, like Deja, okay, thank you, Deja. I wanted to be sure I was saying that right. So yes, you can go out on YouTube. That's, go out on YouTube and Google, go on YouTube and do a search for how to make money. You'll be overwhelmed with the stuff that's out there. Yes, go to YouTube, Google how to make money. You'll have to go through to find things that fit you, because there are people telling you all sorts of things, but you have to sift through and pick out the things that fit you. For instance, somebody says, oh, you can rent stuff out. I'm not into the renting thing. I don't want people coming to my house picking up stuff. So that rent thing wasn't really me. Deja says, I work in a clinic, but I want something I can do from home on the weekends. I would look at a virtual assistant. Look at your skill sets surrounding what you do in that clinic, and then go out and start doing searches for people who are looking for people who do what you do on the side. Virtual assistant, you don't have to start a corporation to start your own side hustle. But you can go out there and look. There are jobs that you can do from your home, and people look for virtual assistants all the time. Take a look at Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. If you go out there, because I use it for them to help me do my ads and do other things for me that I don't have time to do. But you can also put your services out on Fiverr.com and get paid extra money that way. So it just depends. Upwork is another one, upwork.com. Upwork is another one where you can put your services out there. I do this for you. You gotta, spend some time looking around to see what everybody else charges, and just put yourself somewhere in the ballpark, and then see what they're offering and see what you can do the same. Those are two great places to start if you want to make money on the side, because that's a big challenge that I see that people have. They're like, I can't afford, if I lose this job, I'm screwed. And Denise is saying, really? I'm like, yeah. Deja said, I don't know if you've answered it already, but what was the first step you took? So the first step that I took in what, Deja, because I'm not sure where you came in at. Are you saying for my 2 companies that I own, what's the first step that I took? Or give me some more. Cynthia said, most work from home jobs operate on a metric system. You have to meet certain goals. That's where the stress comes in. Well, don't take those kinds of jobs, Cynthia. You can figure out what you do and don't want to do. If you don't want to be on a metric, don't take a metric job. There are different people out there. Once you figure out what your talents, strengths, and abilities are, there are people willing to pay you for that. Because I know that probably in the next year or so, I'm going to be looking for a virtual assistant. And so it's not going to be on a metrics. I'm going to need him or her to do X, Y, Z for me. There are a lot of people out there that are in that position. I need someone trustworthy. I need someone to do this. I need someone to do that. So you need to be clear, Cynthia, on what you do and what you do well. Then you need to go out and find other people who offer those skill sets and see what prices they're offering, see what services they're offering. And I can give you a good example. And I see your Deja said becoming an entrepreneur. So hang tight, Deja. I'm going to answer that for you. I had a client and she's a professional organizer. I didn't even know they existed. This client owns a business where she gets paid to go in on contract and organize people's homes. Got a closet you need organized. She had someone that had an estate sale, and she went in on a contract and organized that estate, things from that estate. She put them in order. She put pictures in, the protective wrap. She organized letters. She's a professional organizer. So if you are one of those people where, you can walk to your desk and it's like not a single piece of paper is ever out of order, all your pencils are sharpened and turned a certain way. If you are an organizer, look up professional organizer. People pay really good money for professional organizers. They're paying like $80 to $150 for people to come in and organize a closet, organize their garage, organize an estate, organize their home, organize your business. I had never heard of that, but had I heard of it, I'd have had them organize my kids' closet with the toys. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying. There are jobs. If you spend your time looking and doing the research, there are jobs out there that fit you. So you don't want, if working on a metric is not your thing, then that's not your thing. You're trying to make yourself fit the job. Find that entrepreneur position that fits you. So Deja said, what was the first step in becoming an entrepreneur? It's that awareness. What do you do and what do you do well? For instance, my first job was as a second lieutenant in the Army. And, I ended up in Desert Storm about a year or two. Actually, about a year and a half after I joined the military, about 2 years later. So what I found, and I don't know why, soldiers would come to me. A lot of people would come to me and tell me their problems. They would tell me their issues, what was going on. And me with my little 20-something-year-old self was like, why are these people telling me their business? I don't need to know all of that. I can't help you. Why are you telling me? And I would sometimes laugh at people like, I can't help you with that. I don't know. But people will come talk to you about their wife problems, their husband problems, deep stuff. And I'm like, I'm 24, 25, 26. I haven't lived long enough to know that. But people would Cynthia says her husband was in Desert Storm. Wow, her ex. So people would just come to me. I don't know why. I don't know what they saw in me, but they did. And so when I got out of the military, I started teaching. And I continued that career path. I continued the same thing. Even though I was a science teacher, I loved talking to people about careers. She said he now suffers with PTSD. Yeah, that's a huge one. I can certainly understand that. A lot of us do. A lot of us do. So I continue, and when I got back from Desert Storm, I would have, soldiers come up to me like, should I get out? Should I stay in? And that's where my career counseling started. That's where my career coaching started. I didn't know. It was because people were coming to me, and the more that people came to me, I started to give them advice, and it worked. I was like, hey, this works. And so here we are 20 something years later, and I am a career coach. I'm an anxiety and career coach. I'm an anxiety coach because I suffered from anxiety and I didn't know it. But I'm a career coach because it is something that I was just really good at. I just had that natural ability to sit down with people, do an assessment, and point them in the right directions and help them get a plan set up to go in that direction and to succeed. And it's just been all sorts of things. I've coached a lot of people to become entrepreneurs. A lot of women I've coached to become entrepreneurs. I've coached people into the federal government, people that couldn't get in for a long time. I worked with them and I coached them to get into the federal government. My first job with the federal government as a rehab counselor and coach, I coached veterans to get jobs. So that's something that I do naturally. That's a natural talent and skill and ability that I have. So Deja, in answer to your question, and I'm going to get to you, Cynthia, in answer to your question, it's an awareness who you are. What do you do well? What do you do really, really well? Monetize that, do that. And it's great because you do it well and you like to do it. If you do it well, but you don't like to do it, don't do it. Like, I love to organize, but I like for my stuff to be organized. But I don't see me doing that for other people because I'm organized to keep my anxiety quiet. But I don't love it enough to do that for somebody else. Now, I have a friend and I love her. That's her thing. And I told her, I was like, girl, you need to go ahead and become a professional organizer. She goes in and she just does it. And it's just off the chain. She's really good at it and she loves to do it. I was like, professional organizer. You need to become a professional organizer. There's an organization out there for you that are into that. There's an organization. It is very important when I, work with my coachees in my coaching practice. That's an awareness, and that's when we talk about taking what's sometimes seen as a weakness because you have anxiety and you're always this, you're always that. It's learning, becoming aware of yourself and using those weaknesses as a strength to do something that is valuable for other people. All right. So Denise, Denise says, please help me. So I do a free strategy session with potential clients. So if you wanted to, I'll probably drop a couple of links. I'll drop a link into my calendar, or you can shoot me a message and let's set up something so we can do a free strategy session and at least, get a direction started that you like to go. And that's just what career coaches do. Again, I just happen to be an anxiety and career coach because they go together. Oftentimes our anxiety is a reason why we're not happy in the job or that job is not a good fit. Sometimes our anxiety, once we manage it, sometimes it's what happens when I have clients. We come in and we get the anxiety taken care of. We go through all the steps and we manage the anxiety and we realize that it's not a good job fit. It is just not a good job fit. And I've had clients kicking and screaming like, I'm not leaving this job. You can't, I don't care. I'm not going to listen to what you say. And I was like, it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, I'll call back and follow up 2 months later and like, you're right. I got a new job and it pays me more money, but you were right. It wasn't a good job fit. If it's not if the job does not fit, you just let it go. Let it go. I ain't saying let it go tomorrow. Let it go. Put a plan in place to start looking for something else because that's what I do. I like to change, and that's why I love coaching and I love counseling because I meet so many different people that come in with so many different things, and I love people seeing that aha moment. I have helped a number of counselors set up their practice and get started in their private practice to become entrepreneurs because it's a skill set that I have, and that's what's important. You can become an entrepreneur, but you got to be aware of what you do well. So if a lot of you out there is like, I don't know where to start. I'll drop my calendar link when this is over. I'll drop my calendar link. Take a look at my calendar and then sign up for an appointment and let's do a free strategy session and see if we can get you pointed in the right direction to go where you need to go. Because there was a report that came out, research said that African American women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. and they're like trying to figure out why that is. And a lot of people are figuring out, I'm tired of working for somebody else. I'm tired of being dogged out. I'm tired of the anxiety. I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of not getting promotions. I'm tired of not, getting ahead. And they figure, I can do this. I can be my own boss. I can do this. And I'm here to tell you can. I have 2 companies. Well, I just about to do a 3rd one. You actually can do it. You just need that plan. Like Denise says, you need the plan first. Yes. Because, in neither of my companies did I walk away from something without planning. Sometimes it was a 2 or 3 year plan. But it is okay, because the thing is, this is once you get that vision set, you know where you're going, then you can start working little bit by little bit, and what I do is every week I take in stock, sometimes every day. What did I do today that gets me closer to where I want to be? That's the nice thing about having a vision and using that vision to, to do a plan and start planning your goals, is every day you can figure out, where am I? Did I do something today to get me closer to my vision, or did I not? And if you didn't, don't beat yourself up. Tomorrow's another day. You get to plan. What do I need to do to get me closer to X, Y, Z? I have a cousin, Vincent Hilliard. If you looked at my lives last weekend, he did my photo shoot for me. It's Hilliard Photography. That's his thing. He's built that business up, that he travels all around the Southeast, and he was going to come see me in Maryland, all the way from Alabama. And I happened to go home last weekend to do my business photo shoot. But you can do that once you build up your business, but you got to figure out where your skill sets are, right? And so that's often where people have to get started. And that's where I can help you out. Set up, free strategy session. It's 45 minutes to an hour. Let's look at a plan that gets you started and pointed in the right direction. So I am trying to check my questions down here. I think that was it. I want to check over here to be sure I did not miss any other questions. Let's see. I think I answered all the questions. Appreciate you all for being on with me, and I hope that this was really helpful for you. If this was helpful, give me a thumbs up and let me know as well. And these topics were all suggested to me by people from my group. You don't have to be in my group to suggest topics. Just shoot me an email. Or you can shoot me an email at Twanna at TwannaCarter.com, or you can just send me a Facebook message. Send me a message and just let me know what your topic is, what you'd like to hear discussed. And I'll pop on live and we can do just that. Okay. If this was helpful for you, please like the video for me. And for all of you that catch this on a replay, same thing. If this was helpful for you, give me a thumbs up or like the video. And if you like a free strategy session, like I said, I'll put my calendar link out there. Let's set up an appointment. Let's do a free strategy session and get you pointed in the right direction. I appreciate everybody for popping on today and listening in. And thanks for all your questions. And you all have a great evening.